Hello, and thanks for tuning in to Town Meeting TV's coverage of Town Meeting Day 2026. My name is Emily Anderson. This program is part of a series of candidate forums hosted by Town Meeting TV in advance of the Town Meeting Day election on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. These forums are made possible by Town Meetings TV's generous underwriting partners. You can find all our forums at cctv.org/TMD2026 or on our Town Meeting TV YouTube channel, where auto-generated captions are available. If you're tuning in on YouTube, click the subscribe button to stay tuned into local democracy this election season. On tonight's program, we will hear from two candidates running for the position of South Burlington City Council, the two-year term. And these candidates are Amy Allen and Beth Zygmunt. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. We have prepared a list of questions for each of you, and you will have 90 seconds to answer each question. Rebuttals will only be allowed if a candidate is named directly, in which case the candidate will have 30 seconds to respond. If you are tuning in live, we also welcome your questions at 802-862-3966. If you call in, we will do our best to prioritize your question, though we will screen calls to ensure questions are not repeated. We ask that you share your name, the town you live in, and that your question be directed at all candidates, not just one candidate in particular. You can also submit questions for future forums online at cctv.org/TMD2026. Let's get started with the 1-minute opening statements. We will start with Amy Allen. Okay. Amy, what do you love about South Burlington, and why do you want to serve as city councilor?
My favorite thing about South Burlington that I love so much is the people. We had a big New Year's Eve party. We celebrate at 7 on London time so all the kids can participate, and we had people from every neighborhood in the city, in every corner of our house, and I looked around and realized there's no place I'd rather be to ring in the new year. So it's the people for sure of South Burlington. I want to serve as a city councilor because I'm a former consultant in international development with a focus on government and business environment reform. And I also have an MBA with an emphasis on international business. So I'm now a stay-at-home mom, and after about a decade of being deep in the trenches, I'm ready to put my expertise to work for South Burlington. So I have real life experience implementing economic development plans, and I would love to do that now for the people of South Burlington.
Excellent. Thank you, Amy. Beth.
Yeah, so the things I love about South Burlington, I totally agree with Amy. I love the people, not just in South Burlington, but the whole, greater Burlington community. I love my colleagues at work, and I want to run for city council because I love the people in the community, and I love not just the place where I live, but the natural surroundings where we are. I love the access to outdoor recreation. South Burlington is one of the safest communities in the country, and I want it to stay that way. So there are so many reasons why I love the community and I care about the community. I want to run for city council because I think that we are in a challenging time. We're in a challenging time nationally, and we're in a challenging time locally. The city is growing very quickly, and I think as the city grows, we have to be very, very careful to protect the things that make it so special as we're growing. My background is, I came from a very, very difficult financial circumstance, and I know what it's like to struggle. Now I have the luxury of having a very successful career and a great family, and I've done a lot of volunteer work, and I'm ready to bring that to the city. So,
Thank you. Great, so wonderful. It's wonderful to have you both here. We will move on to a question about the city budget. Do you support the proposed city budget of $58.4 million? What's a highlight to you in this year's budget proposal? And Beth Sigmund, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I want to start by saying that I hear that people are really struggling with their taxes, and not just with their taxes, but other things in their life that are costing a lot of money, healthcare, basic needs like groceries, especially healthcare. And I think that the city budget, for one thing, only about half of the city budget, a little less than half of the city budget comes from taxes. The rest of it is funded by fees that the city collects for, library fees, ambulance service, et cetera, et cetera. So of that roughly 24 million, I think the city has done an amazing job at sort of threading the needle in providing all the services that come out of that budget, and actually managing to keep taxes basically flat when you count for inflation. So I do support the city budget. I think the city budget is critically important. It funds our police, it funds our fire department, it funds the library, it funds the public works department, which takes care of our roads and plowing. So all of those are really critically important services. So yes, I do support the city budget, and I think that they've done all of that while really keeping a vision for the future and keeping an eye on how we're impacting the world that we live in, the planet that we live on. So yeah.
Thank you, Beth. Amy Allen, your thoughts on the budget?
Yes, thank you. First off, shout out to our city manager, Jessie Baker, and her team for putting together such a complex budget with so many competing priorities and working so hard to trim operating costs. They really went at that hard this year. The short answer is yes, I do support the city budget. The more important question is, can we sustain the level of property tax increases year over year? And to that, the answer is no. It really struck me that the city has now repeatedly used one-time funds to defer the impact on the property tax rate. And as anyone who has gotten a deferment on their student loans can tell you that the relief is only temporary. So we're going to need to work very hard to increase the revenue streams coming into the city so future tax increases don't fall entirely on property taxpayers. And this is where the economic development plan is going to come in. It's a really solid plan. It's very good, and if implemented well, it can bring real tax relief.
Thank you, Amy. Now we'll move on to the school budget. Do you support this year's proposed school budget of $73.9 million with an estimated tax increase of 8.76%? How would you address the challenges facing the state education fund and the impact on local schools and taxpayers? And Amy Allen, you'll start first.
Thank you. So as we know, the state education fund is the responsibility of our state lawmakers. And we know they're working very hard to fix it with where things are at right now. We also know that our school system has been working hard to find cost savings everywhere that they can. A lot of discussion, I know, around that. I do support this year's school budget because no one wins when it doesn't pass. So we can do better for our community. City Council should be in constant dialogue with the school board and the superintendent. The school budget is the single biggest contributor to our tax rate, and it's incumbent upon City Council to keep a close eye on it when making budget decisions on the city side. Because, of course, the schools are very much at the mercy of the state, but we have more flexibility on that side, so coordination and dialogue is necessary.
Thank you, Amy. Beth Sigmund.
Yeah, so again, I'll start by saying I know people are feeling the crushing weight of high taxes in the city. The school budget is the majority of our property taxes. It's about 75%. So school taxes are critically important to address. The city councilors only have control over the municipal budget. So the city doesn't control school taxes any more than we control high healthcare costs. which is another thing that's driving up school taxes, in fact. So, and I know that because I work in the healthcare system as a physician. So, yeah, so I think we need to keep an eye on the fact that the city has control over the city budget, and I would work to keep the city budget flat through whatever mechanisms we can. I think that, you know, the school budget situation is challenging because we have to keep in mind the needs of our children. So I want to make sure that, you know, when we have these discussions, we keep in mind the fact that our children are often caught in the middle of it. So I do support the city budget because I support our kids. I want our kids to succeed. My children will be done with high school by this fall, but I will vote yes on the budget because I think it's critically important that we support them. And I do think there's a path forward. The legislature is hard at work trying to bring down our school taxes. So, yeah.
Thank you, Beth. Now we'll move on to strategic development. What stands out to you in the South Burlington Strategic Economic Development Plan, and do you support it? Why or why not? Beth Sigmund, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I do support the Economic Strategic Development Plan in South Burlington. I think it's got a great vision for the future of the city. I'm fully in favor of as much local control over the economy as we can have. Local control over the economy meaning, you know, when we spend money locally, it stays within our economy. It doesn't end up in the pockets of some multinational or national corporation or their shareholders. So I fully support that. I also think that it builds community. You know, the people who work in our local stores, our local shops, our restaurants, those are our neighbors, they're our friends, they're the family members of people we work with. So I think it's really important that we support our local businesses. In addition to that, I think our larger companies in South Burlington are pretty amazing. I mean, they're very innovative. They're on the cutting edge of new technologies, and from my perspective, I have a lot of experience working in the climate mitigation efforts in the country, you know, nationally, and I see that the companies that are in South Burlington are really walking that walk in a lot of ways. So I support that. I think we need to do what we can to bring more small businesses into South Burlington to make it a more vibrant community. But yes, I support the plan, and I'm very excited about the plan.
Okay. We have a call, but I will first let Amy respond to this.
I do support the Economic Development Plan because it's our path forward to ensure the quality of life that we all enjoy here in South Burlington is sustainable. Again, without it all falling on the shoulders of property tax holders, so it will provide relief. The stakeholder roundtables that inform the plan really stood out to me. Engaging everyone who will be impacted early in the process is key. Again, I have background in this, experience in this, and I look forward to being a part of maintaining that dialogue as it's implemented, because we want to make sure that as we go forward, we don't leave behind any of our small businesses. So knowing who the key players are will ensure that that happens.
Great, thank you, Amy. So we do have a call. Hello, you are on the air. Please say your name, the town you live in, and your question, and please address the question to both of our candidates.
Very good. Hi, my name is Linda Bailey, and I'm from here in South Burlington. First, I want to thank both of the ladies for running for this. It's a lot of work and a lot of work on their plate when they win. My question is, what part of their past professional life and professional experience do they feel will bring the most benefit and be to what will be needed on this city council? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Amy, I'll have you start.
Okay. So the biggest thing to me around the implementation of the Economic Development Plan is that my background was around engaging stakeholders. So I would work in a country and be, all over it for 6 months, learn everything about it. A lot of that groundwork has already been laid. And now the implementation part, again, is what I have done when I worked for the U.S. Agency for International Development and World Bank, moving forward again to make sure that small businesses are included. And what works, we know that what works for micro, small, and medium enterprises, if it works for the little guy, it works for the big guy. So I have that background in doing that. I also have a lot of background as a consultant around process management, so I can really help with looking at talking to our local residents and figuring out how we can make our city more accessible, our city council especially more accessible for them.
Great, thank you, Amy. Beth Sigmund.
Yeah, so my professional background, I'm a physician by training. I've also worked every job under the sun, including selling vacuums door to door, so I've done a lot of different jobs in my life. But now I'm a fully trained up physician. I've had multiple leadership roles in my different organizations. I was the Officer of Quality and Safety in the department that I used to work in Philadelphia before I moved here. I'm the Division Chief of Cardiothoracic Radiology at the hospital, the Director of Lung Cancer Screening. So I've worked on numerous committees, more committees than I'd like to count. So I have a lot of experience collaborating with people. As a division chief, I have to mind the budget to some extent for my part of the radiology department, which means I oversee certain purchases, large equipment like scanners, for example. I see the productivity statistics of my direct reports. And I think my experience in the volunteer world is also important because I realize that what's happening in the world right now is not sustainable. We have to pay attention to the growth of our business sector, but we have to do that in balance with everything else in our environment. So I think that my experience and my history of volunteer service, and I would encourage viewers to go and check me out online because there's a lot out there, qualifies me for this position. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have another caller on the line, I'm excited to say. Hello, you are on the air. Please say your name, the town you live in, and address your question to both of our candidates.
Hi there, this is Rachel Kinney from South Burlington. My question is, many working families and folks who don't have the luxury of free time are often a missing voice on issues in our community. What steps would you take as counselor to seek input from as many community perspectives as possible when weighing decisions as a counselor?
Thank you. Beth Sigmund, we'll have you start.
Yeah, well, I mean, conversation with a counselor is a great way for people to come out and talk with their counselors. I've attended those. I know that they happen with some frequency. I think that when we're listening to the community, it's really important to have these collaborative sessions that the city has. For example, with the Parks and Rec plan, they had these events in the evening where people could come out in the evening and express their values with regards to to open space and the recreation plan. Same thing for the economic development plan. I am full-time employed, so I understand the challenges of coming out, and I understand that impacts families with children more than anything because I have 2 children, and it's been difficult in the past to come out to events like that. So I think that more than anything, it's important to hear people and have civic dialogue when you're talking about things that the community is concerned about. I think the city councilors are very accessible as it is, and I would aim to continue that and maintain civic dialogue, because right now we're living in an environment where that's really fraying. Nationally, and I think to some extent locally, there's a lot of conflict over these ideals of growth and conservation and preservation, and I think we need to talk to each other about that. And the best way to do that is to be available.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth. Amy, your answer to the question.
Yeah, so I would like to see a lot more. I've met with a counselor about this before. I would really love to see our city councilors, maybe even some of our city staff, posting videos online I know that just explaining this is what's happening, or this is maybe moving from a committee to maybe come up for a vote, so that people have the information before it's coming up for a vote, whether or not they want to have input. Sometimes it's really hard to sift through when it's, here's a 50-page plan, post it online, give us your input. Maybe give us some high-level summaries in the forums that we're already on while we're scrolling. I think it would be really good. I think it would be really good also, Coffee with a Counselor is a good start. Really grateful to Elizabeth Fitzgerald for starting that, but doing a lot more outreach, especially around things that are going to be affecting a particular neighborhood. Get out there, do some door knocking. It shouldn't just be a campaign season thing, and talk to people about their opinions of what we're looking at happening.
Great, thank you, Amy. Okay, we will get back to some of our planned questions. Development. South Burlington has areas of dense residential development and is building out more mixed development housing. How does the city balance the needs of these different uses? Amy Allen, we'll start with you.
Yes. So we do need both, and we know that every unit in the dense residential development contributes to our tax revenue. So that really helps with affordability, and affordability brings stability for folks. So very important. We need to make the process for building both residential and mixed development more predictable. We need to streamline those processes. That will also help our city be more welcoming for nonprofit and small-scale developers that I think will have sort of a unique perspective and ties to our community to help us keep that unique Vermont nature of our community as we're moving forward. So balancing the two is important, but we do need to deliver that tax relief, so while keeping all the special things about South Burlington alive that we all love.
Cool, thank you, Amy. Beth Sigmund, your response.
Yeah, so first I want to mention that development in South Burlington has been going gangbusters for quite a while now. For the last several years, we've exceeded our growth targets. We are building more homes than any other county, or any other municipality in the state, and certainly more than any other municipality in Chittenden County. So we're building a lot of homes. We're building them densely downtown, which is where they should be, because they both, that supports a vibrant downtown. It also makes it easier to access jobs. It also mitigates our climate impacts. It protects the open spaces that we value so much. So I think that's all really important. As we develop, though, I think we need to be really, really careful to do it very deliberately, and to make sure that we're not satisfying our short-term needs at the expense of our long-term goals. Meaning, I think we have to continue to do that in balance with the other parts of our city that should remain basically wild. I think for example, if Red Rocks Park were open for development right now, we would be having conversations about taking Red Rocks Park. And I think we need to be really cautious about how we move forward.
Thank you. Let's see. So the next question is housing. Do you support the City of South Burlington signing on to the Let's Grow Homes initiative? How does South Burlington help meet the needs for more housing in the region? And we'll have Beth start.
Yeah, so again, we're building more homes than any other municipality in the state. I think that we are doing it correctly. I think the city has done it correctly. I think they've built a lot of dense development. We're also building homes out in the suburbs. But if by building densely, we get a bigger bang for our buck in terms of tax revenue, because when you build densely, a greater share of that revenue goes to the city. It keeps municipal taxes down. As far as Let's Build Homes goes, I don't think that South Burlington has anything to gain by signing on to Let's Build Homes. As I said, I think we've done a really great job at balancing the city's growth with protection of the things that make the city so special. So yeah, I don't support it. And I also want to say that Let's Build Homes, it's a lobbying group, and they have applauded certain policies that the governor has supported that I think are antithetical to our city plan, which is a really bold, wonderful plan that has a lot of balance built into it. For example, they supported the governor's efforts to roll back wetlands protections and develop on closer to wetlands, and they supported rolling back our energy efficient standards. And I see both of those things as really good for short-term profits for the people building those homes and the developers, but very bad for the homeowners who are going to have to bear the costs of less climate resilience for those homes and higher energy costs over the long term. So I don't think we should partner with Let's Build Homes. There's nothing to gain.
Thank you, Beth. Amy Allen, your thoughts on this?
Thank you. I do support the Let's Build Homes initiative. It's trying to coordinate things statewide in a responsible manner. That's really important. We cannot address our housing challenges alone, like we cannot address our climate challenges alone. We have to work with all of Vermont. And so that's going to be an important forum to do that in. It also really goes to the core principle of Vermont community, where we engage with our neighbors to find solutions. Our neighbors are just not here in South Burlington. It's the entirety of Vermont. And so we need to work together on that. Our housing shortage requires all hands on deck. And so having access to those discussions is going to be really vital. South Burlington in particular is continuing to grow, and we should encourage continued growth in the high density development areas. I also, again, would like to, I think part of Let's Build Homes, I hope, will be about encouraging creativity in our housing market, because especially in South Burlington, we're going to be looking at a lot of more infill and redevelopment. So I hope that things like, again, engaging small and nonprofit developers will be a part of that discussion, and then that will encourage collective community efforts by folks to build and redevelop parts of their neighborhood the way that they want to see it, because Vermonters are very resilient and very creative, and we should tap into that in our housing market.
Great, thank you, Amy. So I'd like, we are wrapping up, so I'd like to give you each 30 seconds to say some closing words, and Amy, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you so much. Where to start? Yeah. My time working in international development taught me a lot that has prepared me now to serve in this community. So I hope that you will look at my website, amyforsouthburlington.com, and let's have a conversation. Let's talk about how we can focus on affordability and make sure that everybody is listened to and heard in our community, no matter what neighborhood that you live in. That's really important for me. We can set that path forward together, and I know South Burlington is ready for this. So Amy Allen, and I'm asking for your vote on March 3rd.
Thank you, Amy. Beth Sigmund.
Yeah, thanks. So I really love our city. As I said, I think we're going through a very challenging time now. People are struggling financially. The city is growing very quickly and creating pressures, traffic and noise and, pollution. So I think that we need strong leadership to bring us through that. I have extensive leadership history. I'm serving as a leader right now in my organization. I have a very long history of volunteer service to the values that I think hold dear. So I hope people will check me out, because I've already performed, I've already been in service. And I do that because I care about the future. I care about the future of our children and the future of our community.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you both. This has really been a pleasure hearing both of your, all you have to share. Thank you for tuning in to Town Meeting TV's ongoing coverage of local candidates, budgets, and ballot items. You can find this and many more forums at cctv.org/TMD2026 or on our Town Meeting TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to cast your ballot on Town Meeting Day on or before March 3rd. Then tune into Town Meeting TV's results recap show that evening, starting live at 7 p.m. Contact your local clerk to find out how to obtain a ballot and to register to vote. In Vermont, you can register to vote on Election Day. Thank you for watching and sharing Town Meeting TV.